God will lift you higher, while those who betrayed you watch in shock. Have you ever noticed that betrayal never comes from strangers? It is the ones who sit at your table, the ones you trusted with your heart, the ones you thought would stand with you through the storm. These are often the ones who turn against you, and when betrayal happens, it cuts deeper than any sword. It is not just the loss of trust, it feels like the tearing of your soul. You gave loyalty, and they returned it with lies. You gave love, and they answered with deceit. And yet in the middle of that pain, there is a whisper from heaven that says, "This is not your ending, it is your beginning." There is something divine about betrayal, though it feels unbearable in the moment. It becomes the very stage upon which God displays his justice. Think of it. Those who hurt you may believe they have succeeded, that they have broken your spirit, silenced your dreams, and stolen your dignity. But God has a way of turning the schemes of men into the stepping stones of his plan. What they meant for your downfall, he reshapes into the very tool of your rising. The betrayal that was designed to bury you becomes the soil from which your elevation grows. Do you see the irony? Those who once mocked you will have no choice but to become spectators of your restoration. They will be forced to watch as God lifts you higher, higher than they imagined, higher than they ever wanted for you, higher than you ever thought possible. Their betrayal does not write your story. It only becomes a footnote in the testimony of God's power over your life. Pause and reflect. Isn't it extraordinary that God allows your betrayers to remain close enough to see your blessing unfold? He does not always remove them from the picture. Sometimes he keeps them in place, not to comfort you, but to witness what he is about to do. Your elevation will not be in secret. It will be public, undeniable, and shocking. Those who once laughed will be silenced. Those who once doubted will tremble, and those who once conspired against you will bow to the evidence of God's hand on your life. Consider the imagery of a candle. In darkness, one small flame can shift the entire atmosphere. Betrayal feels like darkness, like the extinguishing of light. Yet when God steps in, he does not simply restore the candle you lost. He turns your single flame into a blazing torch that no one can ignore. This is how he works. He multiplies what was broken, he magnifies what was diminished, and he elevates what was cast down. So, when you feel the weight of betrayal pressing against your chest, remember, this is not where you remain. This is where you rise. And the beauty of it is that your rise is not silent. It is dramatic, undeniable, and orchestrated by God in such a way that even your enemies must acknowledge his glory. Now, let us draw wisdom from this truth through these 7 guiding lights. Betrayal is not the end, it is the beginning of your elevation. Betrayal feels like death. It does not kill the body, but it wounds the soul in ways that linger for years. You can almost hear the echo of broken trust in your chest, the whisper of, "How could they do this to me?" And yet, in the mystery of God's design, betrayal is never the full stop. It is only the comma in the sentence of your life. What looks like the end of your story is actually the moment heaven begins writing a new chapter. If you pause too long in the pain, you may believe you've been abandoned. But if you lift your eyes to the unseen, you will realize that the betrayal you endured was not your destruction, it was your redirection. God often allows doors to close violently, not to harm you, but to guide you. When Judas kissed with betrayal, when brothers sold Joseph into slavery, when friends scattered and denied, it seemed like the end of hope. But in every case, betrayal was the seedbed of a greater plan. Could it be that what was done to you in secret was actually the foundation of something glorious? That the very knife that pierced your heart is the same tool God uses to carve your destiny? It is hard to see this when the wound is fresh. You look at yourself and see only fragments, as though your trust, your joy, and your dignity lie shattered on the floor. But God never leaves his children in pieces. The betrayal is not the final picture. It is the broken glass through which the light of his glory shines brighter. What feels like humiliation is in truth the preparation for exaltation. The valley you walk through today is the stage upon which tomorrow's mountain victory will be revealed. Betrayal teaches you something that loyalty never could. It forces you to lean entirely on God. When friends fail and family wounds, when confidants become conspirators, you are left with no anchor but him. And that is where true strength is born. The betrayal may have stripped you of earthly support, but it has pressed you into heavenly arms. This is why betrayal is not the end, it is the beginning. It awakens you to a life not dependent on the fragile promises of man, but on the unshakable covenant of God. Those who betrayed you thought they had buried you. In their eyes it was finished. But do you not know that seeds must be buried before they rise? In the silence of the soil, unseen and forgotten, life is taking shape. In the darkness, where no one applauds and no one notices, God is working something greater. Betrayal buries, yes, but it buries with purpose, to awaken the miracle of resurrection in you. God uses betrayal as the stage for his justice. There is something astonishing in the way God works. He does not always shield you from betrayal. He often allows it, knowing it will become the very platform where his justice is displayed. Think of it. If you were never wronged, if you were never rejected, if you were never mistreated, there would be no stage for his vindication. The betrayal was not permitted to destroy you, it was permitted to reveal him. Justice in the kingdom of God is not merely the punishment of the guilty, it is the restoration of the wounded. And betrayal, though it feels like theft, becomes the very moment where God prepares to repay. He does not simply replace what was taken, he multiplies it. He does not merely silence the voices that slandered you, he causes them to choke on their own disbelief when they see his favor on you. The betrayal becomes the theater, and God himself becomes the playwright, arranging every detail so that his glory cannot be denied. Have you ever wondered why God allows your enemies to stay close enough to watch? Why he does not always remove them from your life entirely? It is because he intends them to witness his justice. Your betrayers will not be able to explain how you rose after they pushed you down. They will not be able to deny the blessing on your life when everything they did was meant to curse you. And they will not be able to silence the evidence of his hand when you shine brighter than they ever expected. There is a holy reversal in betrayal. Those who schemed for your fall become unwilling spectators of your rise. The same people who laughed at your pain will sit in stunned silence as they watch your restoration. God does this not out of cruelty, but out of divine order. He sets the scales right. He makes the crooked straight, the broken whole, the oppressed strong. And the beauty is that his justice is never hidden. It is displayed for all to see. Betrayal sets the scene, but justice writes the final act. Imagine a courtroom where the guilty grin, certain that no one will expose their lies. Then, without warning, the judge steps in with undeniable evidence. Their smirks vanish, their words dry up, and the truth shines so brightly that no one can look away. This is what God does with betrayal. He lets the story play long enough for your enemies to believe they have won. Then he enters, and the entire script changes. And when his justice unfolds, it will not only heal your heart, but also magnify his name. For the greatest vindication is not that you are proven right, but that he is revealed as righteous. Your enemies will remain as witnesses to your rising. One of the most mysterious patterns in God's dealings with his children is this. He does not always remove those who wish you harm. Instead, he often keeps them close enough to see the very blessings they tried to prevent. They may conspire in shadows, whispering about your downfall, but God turns their nearness into an audience for his work in you. They believed they were plotting your end, but unknowingly they were reserving seats for themselves at the unveiling of your elevation. It is never easy to know that those who wounded you remain near. The sight of them can sting, the memory of their betrayal can reopen scars. Yet if you look closely, you will see the wisdom of heaven in this arrangement. God does not always exile your enemies because their presence serves a greater purpose, to bear witness to the justice of his hand. They must remain, not to control you, but to confirm that his promises over you cannot be stopped. Consider how deeply God values testimony. When he acts, he does not act in secret. His works are not whispered, but declared in the open. And so it is with your rising. It must be undeniable, so that even those who despised you cannot dispute what has taken place. Their jealousy will burn, their pride will ache, but their eyes will be forced to behold. The very ones who said, "You will not make it," will be the ones to see you thrive. The very ones who believed your chapter was closed will watch as God writes new pages in your story, pages brighter than any before. Think of a tree planted in a field. When storms come, neighbors may laugh, pointing at its bent trunk, certain it will snap. But the roots run deep, and with time the sun returns, and the tree not only stands, it grows taller than the rest. Who must live with the sight of that towering tree? Those same neighbors. This is how God works. Your enemies cannot escape the vision of your flourishing. They are compelled to watch day after day as you rise in strength and stature. And here lies the irony. Your enemies become part of your testimony. Without them, there would be no audience for your vindication. Without their betrayal, there would be no contrast for your blessing. God allows them to remain, so that when he lifts you, they cannot deny his hand. They may not admit it with words, but their silence will testify. Their bitterness will testify. Their inability to explain your success will testify. And in their watching, God's justice will echo louder than any words you could speak. What was meant to break you becomes the tool to build you. It is one of the strangest paradoxes of life. The very things designed to crush you often become the very materials God uses to strengthen you. Betrayal, rejection, heartbreak. These are wounds that feel unbearable, yet in God's economy, they are transformed into instruments of resilience and growth. The enemy thought he was destroying you, but without realizing it, he was delivering the raw materials of your destiny. Every betrayal carries a weight, but that weight becomes training. Think of it like resistance placed upon a muscle. Without resistance, the muscle remains weak. With resistance, it grows stronger. In the same way, the betrayal that pressed against you was shaping strength within you that loyalty never could. Had you only known constant comfort, you would never discover the depths of courage you now carry. Had you only known constant applause, you would never develop the resilience to walk alone. The breaking was painful, but it was also a chiseling, a refining of your spirit into something unshakable. Look back on your life and you will see this truth unfold. The tears you shed did not wash you away. They watered the soil of wisdom. The rejections you faced did not erase your worth. They pushed you closer to the one who defines it. The moments you thought would end you were the very moments that awakened gifts, insights, and strength hidden within. Do you see the hidden grace here? What was meant to break you became the foundation of a stronger, wiser, more radiant you. Consider the potter shaping clay. The pressure of his hands looks violent, pressing and pulling, reshaping what was once smooth. To the clay, it must feel like destruction. But the potter sees the vessel in his mind's eye, the final form that will hold beauty and purpose. So too does God use betrayal and hurt. What felt like a crushing in your life was actually the potter's hand shaping you into something more glorious than you imagined. Your betrayers thought they were subtracting from you, but in truth they were adding. They thought they were destroying your path, but they were paving it. Every sharp word, every broken promise, every act of deceit, they were all bricks laid into the road that would lead to your rising. Without knowing it, they worked against themselves, because what was meant to shatter you only built you into a fortress no storm can topple. And now when you rise not as the fragile soul they once knew, but as a refined vessel of strength, courage, and faith. The pain that was designed to cripple you became the tool that constructed you. The betrayal that was meant to silence you gave you a stronger voice. The rejection that was supposed to diminish you carved out space for your increase. Such is the mystery of God. He does not waste pain. He recycles it into purpose, and he turns breaking into building. God's elevation is always public, undeniable, and unstoppable. When God chooses to lift a person, he does not do it in shadows. His elevation is not quiet, nor is it hidden in secrecy. It is public, it is undeniable, it is unstoppable. For when he raises you, it is not simply for your sake. It is for his glory, that his hand may be recognized and his faithfulness proclaimed. Those who doubted you will see, those who mocked you will hear, and those who betrayed you will stand powerless, as the evidence of his favor shines upon you. Human beings often seek recognition in silence, hoping to prove themselves without spectacle. But when God elevates, he makes sure the testimony is visible. Why? Because the blessing is not only for you, it is a revelation to others of his sovereignty. If he healed you quietly, no one would know. If he restored you secretly, the story would remain buried. But when he blesses you openly, the doubters become witnesses, the betrayers become spectators, and even strangers can see his work displayed. Your elevation becomes a mirror reflecting his greatness. There is a rhythm in this divine process. Before the lifting, there is the humbling. Before the crown, there is the cross. Before the applause, there is the silence of rejection. And when you endure these seasons, you may think you are forgotten. Yet the very silence you endure becomes the backdrop against which his elevation shines even brighter. A diamond glitters most not under the midday sun, but against the dark velvet of night. Likewise, God's lifting of your life shines most vividly after betrayal, rejection, and loss. When God elevates you, no man can block it. They may plot, they may scheme, they may lie, but none of their efforts can reverse the hand of heaven. His blessing does not ask for permission. His favor does not wait for approval. His elevation moves like the rising of the sun. Unstoppable, undeniable, flooding every shadow until none remain. And those who thought they could keep you low will find themselves forced to watch as you rise higher than they imagined. Your betrayers may attempt to explain it away, but they cannot. They may search for reasons, but his elevation defies logic. They may even deny it with their mouths, but their eyes cannot look away. This is why his lifting is so powerful, because it is not your doing, it is his. If you had lifted yourself, they could have claimed pride. If others had lifted you, they could have claimed favoritism. But when God lifts you, there is no explanation except him. This is why you must trust his timing. The waiting, the breaking, the betrayal, all are stages preparing for the great unveiling. And when it comes, it will be so evident, so clear, that even those who despised you will have to confess, God has done this. The pain of betrayal prepares you for the strength of destiny. Destiny is heavy. It is not carried by fragile hearts or untested hands. And so, before God entrusts you with the weight of your calling, He allows you to endure the pain of betrayal. Not because He delights in your suffering, but because He knows that only pain can prepare you for the strength required to walk in destiny. Every wound, every disappointment, every betrayal was not a detour. It was training. We often pray for strength, but strength is not given, it is forged. A blacksmith does not create a sword by placing steel gently in the sun. He places it in fire. He strikes it with force. He bends and reshapes it until it becomes unbreakable. So too with your soul. Betrayal was your fire. Rejection was your hammer. Abandonment was your bending. And through it all, God was shaping you into a vessel strong enough to carry the destiny He designed for you. Without betrayal, your heart would remain too soft to withstand the battles ahead. Without rejection, your spirit would still crave the approval of men rather than the assurance of God. Without pain, your faith would remain shallow, untested, easily shaken by winds. But with pain comes depth. With betrayal comes discernment. With rejection comes reliance on God alone. You emerge not as you once were, but as a stronger, wiser, sharper instrument in His hand. The very pain that once made you weep in silence now becomes your strength in public. Where once you bent under the weight of sorrow, now you stand unshakable. Where once you questioned your worth, now you know that worth comes not from man but from the one who created you. Where once you longed for their approval, now you walk with divine confidence. Can you see it? The pain was never wasted. It was preparation. Destiny is not given to those who are untested. It is not handed to those who still break under the weight of people's opinions. It is entrusted to those who have walked through betrayal, survived rejection, endured loneliness, and emerged with faith intact. The pain you suffered became the strength you needed. The betrayal you endured became the training you could not live without. And now, when God lifts you into your destiny, you will not be crushed by its weight. You will not bend under its responsibility. You will not falter in the face of opposition. Why? Because betrayal already taught you how to stand alone. Pain already taught you how to lean on God, and rejection already taught you that no earthly applause is needed when heaven has already approved you. The weight of destiny is great, but so too is the strength that betrayal has built within you. And when God places the crown of calling upon your head, it will not slip, for your shoulders have been strengthened through suffering. Your restoration will leave those who betrayed you in shock and silence. There is a moment in every divine story when the tables turn. For a long season, it seems as though betrayal has the final word, as though lies have triumphed, as though the wound will never heal. But then, suddenly, God moves. And when He does, the shift is not subtle. It is breathtaking. The same mouths that once mocked fall silent. The same eyes that once rolled in disdain widen in disbelief. Those who betrayed you stand in shock, unable to grasp how the one they tried to destroy has risen higher than they ever imagined. This silence is not empty, it is heavy. Heavy with the weight of their own conscience. Heavy with the realization that what they meant for harm has turned to your good. Heavy with the undeniable evidence of God's hand upon you. They thought they had written you out of the story, but now they see you standing as the main character in the very plot they tried to erase. And the truth is too loud for them to deny. God does not restore you quietly because betrayal was not quiet. The wound was public, the humiliation was known, the whispers were loud. And so when He restores you, He makes sure the blessing is visible, undeniable, and shocking. He allows those who betrayed you to watch, not because He seeks to humiliate them, but because their watching becomes part of your vindication. Your restoration becomes their mirror, reflecting the truth of what they did and the futility of their schemes. Think of the one who was cast aside, only to be chosen later as the cornerstone. Think of the one thrown into a pit, only to rise to a throne. Think of the one denied and despised, only to stand in glory. In each story, restoration came not in secret but in power, and those who betrayed could not look away. They had to live with the reality that their treachery had not stopped destiny, it had only accelerated it. The beauty of divine restoration is that it does not merely return what was lost, it multiplies it. You are not given back what betrayal stole, you are given more. More wisdom, more strength, more favor, more peace. And when others see this overflow in your life, they are stunned. How could the one they broke still be standing? How could the one they abandoned now walk with greater dignity than before? How could the one they betrayed now shine with joy unexplainable? The answer, though simple, silences every argument. God, their silence is your vindication. They may never apologize, they may never confess, but their inability to speak against your restoration testifies louder than words. It is proof that betrayal does not win, that lies do not last, and that God's justice cannot be stopped. So what do we learn from all this? That betrayal is not your end, it is the beginning of your rising. That God takes the very treachery meant to break you and turns it into the stage for His justice. That your enemies, far from disappearing, remain as unwilling witnesses to your elevation. That every tear, every rejection, every wound is not wasted, but is transformed into the strength required for destiny. And when He lifts you, He does it publicly, undeniably, and unstoppably, so that none can deny His hand. Yes, betrayal wounded you. Yes, it scarred you, but it did not destroy you. Instead, it prepared you. And now, the time comes when those who betrayed you will watch in silence as God restores, blesses, and elevates you. They will be shocked not only at your restoration, but at the undeniable evidence of His glory in your life. So stand firm in the pain, for it is only a chapter. Trust Him in the silence, for it is only a season. And wait with faith, for the author of your story is not finished. What they meant to bury will rise. What they meant to silence will sing, and what they meant to end, God will use to lift you higher. So high that even your betrayers will be left in awe, unable to explain, unable to deny, and unable to stop the work of God in your life.